The Complete Works of Swami Vivekanand, Volume 3, Section 3, Parabhakti or Supreme Devotion. Chapter 1, The Preparatory Renunciation. The Preparatory Renunciation. We have now finished the consideration of what may be called the preparatory bhakti and are entirely on the study of Parabhakti or Supreme Devotion. We have to speak of the preparation to the practice of the Parabhakti. All such preparations are intended only for the purification of the soul. The repetition of name, the rituals, the forms, and the symbols, all these various things are for the purification of the soul. The greatest purifier among all such things, a purifier without which no one can enter the religion of the higher devotion, that is the Parabhakti, is renunciation. This frightens many, yet without it, there cannot be any spiritual growth. In all our yokes, this renunciation is necessary. This is a stepping stone and a real center and a real heart of all spiritual culture, renunciation. This is religion, renunciation. When the human soul draws back from the thing of the world and tries to go into a deeper thinking things, when man, the spirit which has been somehow become concretized and materialized and understands that he is thereby going to be stronger and to be reduced almost into a mere matter and turn his face away from matter, this begins of renunciation, then being real spiritual growth. The Karma Yogi renunciation is in the shape of giving up all the fruits of all actions. He is not attached to the result of his labor. He does not care for any reward there, here or hereafter. The Raj Yogi knows that the whole of the nature is intended for the soul to acquire experience and that the result of all the experiences of the soul is for it to become aware of its external and internal separateness from nature. The human awareness or human soul has to understand and realize that it has been spirit and not matter through eternity, and that it's this conjunction of it with matter is and can be only for a time. Raja Yogi learns the lesson of renunciation through his own experience of nature. The Jnana Yogi has the harshest of all renunciation to go through, as he has to realize from the very first that the whole of this solid looking nature is all an illusion or illusion. He has to understand that all that is any time any kind of manifestation of power in nature belongs to the soul and not to the nature. He has to know from the very start that all knowledge and all experience are is in the soul, not in the nature. So he has at once and by the sheer force of rational conviction to tear himself away from all bondage to nature. He lets nature and all that belongs to her go, and he lets them vanish and tries to stand alone. Of all renunciation, the most natural, so to say, is that of the Bhakti Yogi. Here there is no violence, nothing to give up, nothing to fear of, as it were, from ourselves, nothing from which we have violence to separate ourselves. The Bhakta's renunciation is easy, smooth flowing, and as natural as things around us. We see the manifestation of this sort of renunciation, although more or less in the form of caricatures every day around us. A man begins to love a woman. After a while, he loves another, and first woman he lets go. She drops out of his mind smoothly, gently, without his feeling the want of her at all. A woman loves a man. She has begun to love another man, and the first one drop off from her mind quite naturally. A man loves his own city and then he begins to love his country, and the intense love for his little city drops off smoothly, naturally. Again, a man learns to love the whole world. His love for his country, his intense fanatical patriotism drops off without hurting him, without any manifestation of violence. An uncultured man loves the pleasure of the sense intensely, and he becomes cultured and he begins to love intellectual pleasure, and his sense enjoyment becomes less and less. No man can enjoy a meal with a same gusto or pleasure as a dog or a wolf, but those pleasures must be those pleasures which a man gets from the intellectual experiences and achievements the dog can never enjoy. At first, pleasure is in association with the lower senses, but as soon as an animal reaches a higher plane of existence, the lower kind of pleasures becomes less intense. In human society, the nearer the man is to the animal, the stronger is his pleasure in the senses, and the more cultured the man is, the greater is his pleasure in intellectual and such other finer pursuits. So, when a man gets even higher than the plane of the intellect, higher than that of mere thought, when he gets to the plane of spirituality and of divine inspiration, he finds there is a state of bliss compared with which the pleasure of the senses or even of the intellect are as nothing. When the moon shines brightly, all the stars become dim, and when the sun shines, the moon herself becomes dim. The renunciation necessary for the attainment of bhakti is not obtained by killing of or increasing stronger light or killing of anything, but just comes in the naturally in naturally as in the presence of an intensely strong light. The less intense one becomes dimmer and dimmer until they vanish away completely. So this love of pleasure, of senses, and of the intellect is all made dim and thrown aside and cast into a shade by the love of God Himself. That love of God grows and assumes to form which it is called as parabhakti and supreme or a supreme devotion. Forms vanish, rituals fly away, books are superseded, images, temples, churches, religions and sect, countries and nationalists. All these little limitations and bondages fall off by their own nature from him who knows this love for God. Nothing remains to bind him or fetter his freedom. A ship all of sudden comes near a magnetic rock, and its iron bolt and bars are all attracted and drawn out, and the plank get loosened and freely float on the water. Divine grace thus loosen the binding bolt and the bars of the soul and becomes free. So in this renunciation, auxiliary to, and it becomes free. So in this renunciation, auxiliary to devotion, there is no harshness, no dryness, no struggle, nor repressions, nor suppressions. The bhakta has not to suppress any single one of his emotions. He only strives to intensify them and direct them to God.